Welcome back, learner. Myself, Dr. Vinita Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, RGSC, Banaras Hindu University, with the course Rudimentary Principle and Practices of Managerial Economics, with Module 6, Lecture number 27. In the last lecture, we have studied about production, factors of production. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about production functions, features of production function, assumptions of production function, types of production function, importance of production function. That means in today's lecture, we are going to have a deeper knowledge about production function. Concept and definition of production function. Production function refers to the functional relationship between the goods produced and the factors of production used. It is a functional relationship, means the output is directly proportional to the input. That means your input will decide what will be your output. It is the mathematical relationship representing the precise or exact relationship that exists between one dependent variable and many independent variables during the process of production. Production function is also a mathematical relation, means it actually a expression. In mathematics, with formula, I can easily identify what will be output depending upon the level of input. Input is your independent variable, whereas output is your dependent variable. The output totally depends upon the input you are going to apply for producing the goods and services. Production function can be explained as maximum amount of a commodity or output that can be produced per unit with available quantity of input with the uses and application of best technology and resources available. In simple word, production function means a relationship between input and output. In previous class, we have studied production. That tells us you are going to process the input for producing the output. But production function means relationship, means how much input you are going to apply for producing the given level of output. That means no doubt with input you are going to produce the goods and services. But what is the relationship between the input and the output? That relationship, that mathematical relationship, that engineering relationship is nothing but the production function. And this production function is also related with the technology. That means what technology you are going to use, what techniques you are going to use through which you are going to decide the optimum input for producing the output. Because input and output, this relation plays an important role for deciding the overall output of the organization. Production does not only refer to the physical goods like clothes, but also includes services like teaching and cooking. That means production means production of goods and services. It explains the quantitative relationship between the input and output. There are basically four major components of the production function such as land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. Every product is unique in nature and different from other product, and that is why production function are specific to each product. This production function is the relationship between the input and output, and it is a quantitative relationship. That means you can identify in exact number how much will be the output and how much input you are going to have. Exact in numbers and figures you can have. Next, as we already know that there are basically 4 main important factors of production, and these factors of production are the input. So, how you are going to use all these input in what relation for producing the output? Every product is unique. Every product is unique from itself, and every product is different from the other product. So, the technique of production can never be same for each and every product. That means when product is different, for every product the technique is different. So, definitely the input and output relationship for each and every product will be different, which means the production function is not remain constant for each and every product, rather the production function differ from product to product. That means the combination of input and output totally depends upon the techniques you are using, upon the product you want to produce. So, this production function is a flexible phenomena and not the static. Production function can also be expressed in the form of formula, in the form of equation. Q is equal to F bracket LNCE. That means Q is nothing but the output, which is the dependent variable. F means function. That means your output is directly functional to the input. L denotes labor, N denotes land, C denotes capital, and E denotes entrepreneur. That means your output totally depends upon the various type of factors. All these will help in producing this level of output. Definition: according to Professor George J. Stigler, production function is the relation between input of productive service per unit of time and output of product per unit of time. According to L.R. Klein, the production function is a technical or engineering relationship between input and output. As long as the natural law of technology remains unchanged, the production function remains unchanged. So, production function basically denotes the relationship between the input and the output. It is basically a quantitative phenomena expressing in exact figures and number how much input you are going to apply for producing a given level of output. Features of production function. The first feature is substitutability, which means if you have to increase the level of output, you can increase by substituting one factor with the other factor. As we know that there are various factors and factors can be easily substituted with each other. So, this important features of production function make it possible that you can exchange one factor with the other factor in order to increase the level of output. And this feature of production function actually generate a law, that is law of variable proportion, that belongs to the short run law. So this substitutability is only possible in terms of short run. Complementary. Complementary means this features of production function say all factors are equally important and all need to be simultaneously changed in equal proportion in order to increase the output. That means all factors equally change for increasing the level of output. That means you cannot keep any factor as constant. Each and every factors need to be variable, need to be changed for changing the level of output. It is this feature of the production function that actually give rise to the law of return to scale, and this law relates to the long run law. Specificity, that means this feature of production function says that every product is unique, and for producing every product the production function is different. That means for every product a specific production function, a specific relationship of input and output need to be arranged. So every product is unique and different from other product. So the combination of input and output are specific to each product and organization. Production function differ from product to product and from organization to organization, because every organization is different, every product is different. So you cannot apply the same input and output relation to each and every organization and to each and every product. So this features of production function says for every product you need to decide a specific production function, a specific relationship of input and output. Period of time. Production function always relates to the period of time. It may be a day, week, month, quarter, half yearly, annually, because input and output are flow variables. You are producing the goods for a week, for a month, for a quarterly. That means for every purpose, for every product is required for every specific period of the time. So this production function variate from time to time. It may be a short run production function, it may be a long term production function, maybe a winter season, maybe a summer season, maybe a monsoon season. So that means for every season there is different variety of the goods demanded, and for every different varieties of the good there will be difference in the input and output relationship. So production function is always relate to a particular period of time. Technical relationship. Production function represent technical relationship in physical quantities between input and output for any goods and services, and not the economic or monetary relationship. The price of the factors of production is totally ignored. As per this feature, it basically means we are actually concerned about the input and the output. We are not concerned about the prices of the input and the output. Technological relationship. The state and the type of technology play an important role in the production function. the level of output does not only depend upon the input, but also on the technology being adopted by the organization for processing these input into valuable output. If the technology enhance the utmost level of output achievable for different input combination go up. That means technology plays an important role in production function. If the technology is good enough, it will definitely going to increase the level of output. That means a good production function, a good relation between input and output along with a good technology will definitely enhance the productivity of any organization. Assumption of production function. Production function is always related to a specific period of time. Producers are rational in nature, wanting a maximum output at a least cost. Technology need to be constant over a period of time. Every factors of production are divisible into small parts. Land and capital are imperfect substitute of each other, that means they cannot be substituted. The supply of fixed factors is inelastic. Inelastic means the supply of fixed factor cannot be increased in the short run, but it is elastic in the long run. In the long run, you can increase its supply. The producer is using the best techniques available. The objective of the firm is to maximize the production. Types of production function. Basically, production function relates to the two periods, that is short run production function and long run production function. In short run production function, basically there are two factors. The one is the fixed factors and the other is the variable factor. In short run, you cannot change the fixed factor. It is constant. If you really want to increase the level of production, you can only do by increasing the variable factor. And the short run production function law is law of variable proportion. So this short run production function can also be expressed in the form of formula, that is Q is equal to F bar K and L. That means Q is the output, F is the function, here K bar represent capital, which is the fixed factor, and labor is the variable factor. That means in short run there are two factors, the fixed factors and the variable factors. Long run production function. In long run production function, all the factors are converted into the variable factors. If you really want to increase the level of output, you can increase by increasing all the variable factors simultaneously. Even the fixed factors are converted into the variable factor. The law for the long run production function is return to scale. This can also be represented in the form of formula, that is Q is equal to F, K and L. That means Q is equal to output, F is equal to function, K represent capital, which is the variable factor, and L represent the labor, which is again a variable factor. That means in long run production function, all the factors that is used in the production function are variable in nature. Importance of production function. Production function helps in estimating the level of output when inputs are specific in physical units. That means with the help of production function, it is easily to estimate in advance what will be the level of output if you are clear cut knowing the input you are going to use for your product. Production functions helps in substituting one factor with the other factor without altering the level of output. Because production functions feature says that you can substitute one factor with the other factor without actually impacting or changing the level of output, because one factor can be easily substituted with the other factor. The production functions helps in selecting the least combination of input for desired output when price is taken into consideration. That means there are various combination of the inputs for producing a given level of output. And if you are going to consider the prices of the input, then you are going to choose that input combination which is providing you the least cost and the maximum output. Basically, law of variable proportion is the law of short run and law of return to scale is the law of long run, and these two shows the different relationship between the input and the output. That means short run and long run production functions have different law because the input and output relationship between them is different, because in one there is the combination of fixed and the variable factors, and in other there is only the combination of variable factors. The production function helps in identifying the maximum output that could be produced from the given level of input. That means this production functions helps in locating that combination of output which can give you the maximum output at the least prices. With the help of production function or with the knowledge of production function, it is possible for each and every producer or the organization to decide the best relation of input and output for maximum output at the least cost. So a good knowledge of production function is good for every organization to achieve desired objective of achieving the final outputs. So in today's sessions, we have discussed about the productions function. What is production functions? What are the features, assumptions, the types of production functions and the importance of production functions? So thank you for today's sessions. We'll be meeting again for the next session starting with the short run law, that is law of variable proportion. Thank you.